We might as well just start with that. So I don't know if you've seen the clip that's been going around, and everybody on the Democratic side has been pushing it out and essentially been saying Donald Trump is one to give reparations to white people. So what I want to do, I want everybody to get a chance to listen to it, and then we're just going to do a little deductive reasoning.
So we can talk objectively.
You know what I'm saying? We want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. All right. So we're going to get right here. It's just an excerpt of his plans for what's going to happen in the near future when he enters the office next year. So,
furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America.
Okay, so talks about racial discrimination under the guise of equity. Now,
one would assume
we would have to ask the question,
what schools would be considered like their foundation is equity?
Well, I would even be before then is just even go into the criteria, what he was talking about with just the schools pushing this identity. Who would be the people that would be in question for this said equity? Like, who would be the people who would be receiving this equity that is then creating this injustice? And
why did they need it in the first place is my question, but that's an
even better question. Like, we have to break that down.
That's not what they want to get into.
Because what I'm saying here is, I understand this is y'all mans. This is who y'all rock with. I get it. I understand this is who y'all boy, but I want to understand people's thought process. So please, in the comment section, let us know who are the people that were getting this equity. And who would be those people who were hurt by said equity being passed around? Because historically speaking, I will say it's not the white people who lost any equity in this country. I'm just going to say it right there. I could be wrong. Please correct me. But who were these white people who didn't have equity? It just seems a little odd to me. Seems like if I were to assume what he was saying is the idea that we were doing things like affirmative action and making sure that we had at least attempted to look like we right the wrongs of our past, those actions now will be held in question.
They'll be rolled back.
And they're already being rolled back now, but I'm saying like they're going to be held in question, these colleges, for pushing this.
It sounds like a direct attack on HBCUs.
Well, I mean, if you go into the fact that he's trying to get rid of the Department of Education, who their main, when they work with HBCUs, is Pell Grants and things of that nature that go.
Even if you don't go to a HBCU, I went to a state university and I still relied heavily on Pell Grants.
Like a lot of people do.
For my tuition. So that doesn't make sense. And that affects more than just black people. That just affects young people across the board.
So, I mean, we can kind of just dive into this a little bit more in regards to it. The Department of Education. A lot of people aren't too familiar. They think that's something that's been around for a long time. It really hasn't. The 80s is when it kind of came around. 79, 80, Jimmy Carter put the institution in. So this isn't the first time that we even had something like that, because I believe Andrew Jackson also had acts that he had put in that was regarding doing some of similar things that the Department of Education does. So this wasn't something that was crazy thought of, like no one was ever doing this. What they do for a large part is collect information. That's a large part. And they also identify areas where are not getting the same kind of education, not getting resources, things of that nature. The reason why these things were federally funded was because if you think about the times before the 80s, 70s, 60s, there would be a lot of folks who would drop out of school, elementary school. Like that would be a normal thing. Like,
it was,
a lot of people have grandparents who they got 6th grade, 7th grade education because that wasn't a priority then. And you didn't have, if you were in school because you probably had money. Like you came from money. And that was not an option for everybody. Public school was not like it is now in regards to people having access to it. So, and then even then, it may not have been worthy of the time because you either worked on a farm, like my dad, he was a farm kid. You had other things that would maybe take your time up because you would want to be able to get money from that. So then you have this federal organization that comes in and is like, hey, we need to make sure everybody gets educated, at least to a decent level. Granted, have they always made the right decisions? No Child Left Behind was trash.
You should talk No Child Left Behind on a regular basis.
But I'm saying, at least it was an attempt to try to do something. Granted, it wasn't their best attempt, but it was an attempt to try to do something. We need to make sure we understand, like, when we get rid of these organizations, the people that hurt are the people at the bottom. People who are poor, disenfranchised, who do not have options. Like, even when they're talking about the equity back in the colleges, we're talking about them making sure they have quotas. So I don't know if you heard the stories about like the Asian kids who got denied because they was Asian with good grades and that wasn't diverse. To me, what I think a lot of people fail to realize is you're just learning amongst the large pool of people that there are. You're not as special as you really are. Did you really think you are? There's a lot of white kids who have to learn that. They try to go and apply for these different schools, and because they maybe didn't do any extracurriculars or they didn't excel to what they really think they are excelling to, they have this, they're trying, look at all the scholarships for the black kids.